It's historic, once in a generation sellout that AOC and the squad are. My good friend Thea, I gotta give her a shout out, said she was the first person I've seen say it, when she said AOC to Nancy Pelosi. And I remember when she said that, I mean, this was like in 2019. People were so mad at her, but that was the best fucking prediction I've ever seen. AOC is throwing DSA under the bus. So, CJ, is this shameful? And I'll pass to you. I know this is your story, my bad. But
no worries. Shameful? No, good preface. Good preface.
Yeah,
keep going.
Yeah, is it shameful that AOC condemned and rebuked DSA before DSA rebuked AOC? How fucking embarrassing is that?
Embarrassing.
What have we been telling you guys on the RBN? We've been telling you guys that DSA needs to expel AOC. They need to expel Jamal Bowman. You know, Jamal Bowman met with Israeli ministers and military leaders. He did a tour of Israel. They should have been expelled. But DSA put out a statement where they said, we got to make strategic choices, and having someone in office like AOC is actually a good decision, even when we're not in line on all the issues. Now AOC is using their platform to shit on y'all, and I can't say that you guys don't deserve it. Because it's exactly what we warned you guys on. But sorry, CJ, I'll pass it to you because I think that's extremely embarrassing that DSA allowed this to happen.
Here's the headline. And this is AOC. I mean, there's nothing else to say. AOC calls out the DSA, and AOC is pushing pro-war Zionism. AOC knocks bigotry and callousness of Times Square rally for Palestinians, which is just,
AOC called them bigots, fam. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, guys. This shit is so fucking like, this is the hardest story I'd rather cover since I'm big.
It is.
It's easy. Like, she is calling people bigots, and during this rally, there were signs, and the message of the rally was that Palestinians had the right to defend themselves, which is UN Charter. The same thing that AOC is saying about Ukraine, she's condemning DSA for saying about the indigenous Palestinian people. Oh, CJ, go ahead. I got
and here's my tweet.
I got a lot to say about this shit, man. Like,
here's my tweet. It speaks to some of what you were already just saying a second ago. It's very ironic that the organization who refused to call out AOC is now being called out by AOC. DSA looked the other way when it came to all of AOC strike-breaking and warmongering votes, but she's not looking the other way for their support for Palestinians. And this rally, Nick, has reverberated everywhere. There, a lot of people, propagandists are pointing to this as a some sort of hate rally. All of the sort of elected progressives called it out, from Richie to Jamal Bowman. Let me bring up the actual article, and then we'll go to those.
Yeah, I have an article here actually.
Bring it up if you have it.
I can save you time just because I was searching for a quote, so I'll pull it up since I already have it here.
Yeah, we already have it. Yeah.
And this is the headline. AOC now called them bigots. And then the funny thing is, what DSA is saying in retaliation, in response to like all the Democrats in Congress who they supported calling them out, and they said, "Oh well, we didn't organize it. There was the other real organizers of the organization out there. We didn't know about this. They're playing dumb, right?" They said, "Let me read this. Several lawmakers with DSA ties are distancing themselves from what was said at the event." And now this is what I wanted to focus on. That's why I pulled the article up. It should not be hard to shut down hatred and anti-Semitism where we see it. So AOC here is repeating the AIPAC approved talking point that anyone that has solidarity with the Palestinian people is anti-Semitic. Apparently, CJ, AOC is so dumb, she don't know the Palestinian people are Semitic people.
Yeah.
That's a core tenet of solidarity. Using our words wrongly. These people are so dangerous. That is not what the fuck solidarity mean, AOC. AOC, one of the 6 DSA members in Congress, in the statement said late Monday. CJ, you know, I won't point out the point that you guys see how she is literally repeating Nancy Pelosi AIPAC approved talking points, smearing people simply calling for Palestinian self-determination anti-Semitic. It doesn't get lower than this.
Yeah,
CJ, go ahead.
Yeah, let me I'm just gonna read one part here and I'll just switch it out because I already have it set. It says the New York City chapter of DSA is facing a political firestorm after the organization promoted a pro-Palestinian rally in the wake of Hamas militant attacks on Israeli communities. I mean, just the framing there, attacks on just that framing, you already know what side that this news organization is coming on. The group did not organize Sunday's rally. Its leadership said
see that,
Monday,
CJ?
Yes.
You see that cowardly shit? This is the part where DSA, I'm sorry to interrupt, CJ, but this is the part
go ahead.
DSA is supposed to make their face turn. Like, my brothers are into pro. I tell you guys this all the time. My brothers are super into pro wrestling, so I know all the terms. This is your chance to make a face turn, DSA. You sold out your constituents to strike-breaking pro-war Democrats. So your chance to redeem yourself is now, where these same Democrats condemned you. Now you're supposed to stand up for your rank and file. Hey, AOC, our rank and file have every right to stand up for the lives of Palestinians. You should too. In fact, we need to start the process for expelling you. This is the time. Imagine DSA did that. Nigga, we'd be like, nigga, you see DSA? They about to expel all of you. That is their time for a face turn. Well, all our criticism with them in the past, they could have made right. But instead, DSA, the organization, threw their members under the bus and said, oh, we had nothing to do with this. We didn't do it. AOC, we didn't do it, queen. It's our fucking uncontrollable, rowdy rank and file. What did we tell you? I have no heat for even the somewhat ignorant, you would say, rank and file members of DSA, because a lot of them are fucking real. They are led off a cliff by the professional managerial class that hijacked DSA. Sorry, CJ, I'll pass it to you guys. But that's the part I saw in the story, and I thought that was unbelievable. When I saw AOC threw a DSA under the bus, I was like, this is DSA chance. Of course they wouldn't take it. But CJ, go ahead. You can continue.
Yeah, let me just read a couple more sentences. The group did not organize. Oh, sorry, I read that. This next part right here. This is the quote from her. Quote, it should not be hard to shut down hatred and anti-Semitism where we see it. That is a core tenet of solidarity, AOC said. Come in. My daughter's knocking on my door. Quote, the bigotry and callousness expressed in Times Square on Sunday were unacceptable and harmful in this devastating moment. It also did not speak for the thousands of New Yorkers who are capable of rejecting both Hamas' horrifying attacks, both against innocent civilians, as well as grave injustices and violence Palestinian face under occupation. Now, I must say, just zooming into this, and this is where I'm going to stop as far as reading. When you are seeing a establishment shield that uses virtue signaling, but they don't mean anything about it, you can see the sign in how they speak in the description. And let's look at it right here. It says New Yorkers are capable of rejecting both Hamas. Listen to how she described horrifying attacks against innocent civilians. Then listen how she describes against grave injustices against Palestinians. You see, she's telling you without telling you whose side she's on, even though she projects she's in the middle or she's for the most downtrodden.
This is the weaponization of pacifism that the professional managerial class does in order to shield and protect the empire, whether they know they're doing it or not. AOC, in her position, she knows exactly what she's doing. So if Palestinians are victims of injustice and violence as you claim, AOC, do you or do you not agree with the UN Charter that claims they have the right to resist the people that are complicit with that? If your answer to that is no, you're weaponizing pacifism in order to uphold the status quo. Pacifism can have honor to it when applied to a personal level. You personally choose to be a pacifist. That's honorable, right? You become an enemy of Black, brown, and working class people the second that you take your personal decision to engage in pacifism and weaponize it. AOC is taking pacifism and beating the head of Palestinians over it. If they are victims of crime, they have the right to defend themselves, and anyone who's saying otherwise is spreading Zionist propaganda, and they are complicit with the upcoming genocide of Palestinian people. Now you guys see why I'm upset? All these people talked a good game when it will help their social media followers, CJ. When it will help get them elected. When it will help get them people social brownie points. But the second that shit gets real, these motherfuckers threw us under the bus. Exactly what we warned you guys of at RBN. Go ahead, CJ.
Now, you hear what AOC says about the situation in Palestine. Some people call it Israel, but I call it Palestine. And the latest sort of uprising or conflict, whichever you want to say. Now, say a similar situation between Ukraine and Russia. Let's see what she says about that, Nick. Let's see what she says.
Whoever can speak here makes the issue of Ukraine funding a wedge issue. Are Democrats prepared to go to the wall to defend it? And beyond that, what do you say to Republicans who don't think that we should fund Ukraine?
Well, I think U.S. commitment to democracy is incredibly important. U.S. commitment to our allies are important. And the word of the United States globally is important. And when we say that we're going to make a commitment, to follow through on that commitment, to support our allies, and to also defend people of Ukraine, this is very important for global stability. To allow a country to invade another country and taking us back to 18th century, 19th century imperialism is
19th century. What are you talking about? This is just 50 years ago. So what has happened? 1946, I think, when this happens. AOC? This is amazing to me, and I made a separate tweet on this. It's amazing to me, Nick, that we have these two situations. Marianne Williamson falls into this too, where we have similar. They're not exact, and I get that they're not exact, but you have Palestine versus Israel, and then you have Ukraine versus Russia, and you have these words, imperialism, sovereignty, thrown around. But we seem to land on different positions on issues that seem to be similar based on what you're telling us, ruling class. Absolutely. That is so amazing, Nick. What do you think it speaks to, though, that they're having to do this sort of word salad to be able to say this is different and that is different? How do you think they're able? How are they doing with this sort of logic when they provide an answer to that, Nick?
You was careful as well, and I try to be very careful with the Ukraine comparisons because I want to put it in context here. The United States funded a fascist Nazi uprising in Ukraine that committed a campaign of ethnic cleansing against the ethnic Russian people. So then Russia responds in order to save the lives of the ethnic Russian people. And then now the people say, oh, the fascists in Ukraine have the right to continue their ethnic cleansing. Meanwhile, the Palestinians, the indigenous population, are victims of the United States funding a fascist genocidal regime that want to commit ethnic cleansing. You guys see the parallels here? Mm-hmm. The parallels is the United States and the progressives will always side with the offensive force that are trying to commit ethnic cleansing and genocide. But the second that anyone resists the ethnic cleansing and genocide that the West want to sponsor, they didn't weaponize pacifism against those people. Russia is bad because they want to stop the ethnic cleansing of Russians in eastern Ukraine. Palestinians are bad because they want to fight against the ethnic cleansing sponsored by the West, by the Israeli people. So you was careful, and that was well done. But I'm saying this for our audience, you got to be very careful when you use Ukraine comparisons, because that's how you explain it. The United States sponsors ethnic cleansing the same way the fascists did in Ukraine, and they don't want people to fight back against that. The same way they don't want Palestinians to fight back against their ethnic cleansing. Like Jenny said, I saw this comment outside my eye. The fascists stick together. Remember what Zelensky said at the very beginning of the war? I covered it. Zelensky said that he wants to have an Israel model for Ukraine. He literally said it, CJ. What the fuck do you guys think that means? He wanted to create an apartheid state for people who are ethnic Russians or are quote-unquote pro-Moscow tendencies. So, CJ, that's a great observation. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you brought that interview up because it shows the moral depravity of AOC. And these same people that said the fascists in Ukraine had the right to defend themselves in order for us to expand NATO, but Palestinians don't have the right to fight for their indigenous land. What is weaponized hypocrisy? As I say, weaponized hypocrisy is the highest form of corruption. The highest form is what the empire used, and AOC is engaging in weaponized hypocrisy.